College students in Central Florida face poverty and homelessness. You're listening to The Wrap from Central Florida Public Media. I'm Brendan Byrne. A growing number of college students across Central Florida are facing food and housing insecurity. A U.S. Department of Education survey found that around 8% of college students are unhoused. Experiencing poverty and homelessness has been shown to negatively impact academic performance, lower morale, and cause students to drop out. For organizations aimed at providing resources to those experiencing homelessness, it's difficult to serve this vulnerable group, as many of them don't come forward for help.
There are a fair number of college students who are living in their cars. Their home is a parking lot somewhere, and maybe they're showering in the gym on campus, for the most part trying to fly under the radar.
That's ahead on The Wrap. The big stories this week from Central Florida Public Media. But first, these headlines. Fast-moving Hurricane Helene made landfall in the Big Bend area of Florida's northwestern coast as a Category 4 storm Thursday evening, threatening a catastrophic storm surge as well as damaging winds, rains, and flash floods hundreds of miles inland across much of the southeast U.S., forecasters said. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said one person died while driving on Interstate 4 when a sign fell on their car. As the storm moved closer to landfall along Florida's Big Bend, Helene continued to strengthen rapidly. According to the National Hurricane Center, the storm measured 140 miles per hour maximum sustained winds. Helene's far-reaching wind field extended beyond its eye. The National Weather Service Melbourne recorded wind gusts reaching 67 miles per hour at Orlando International Airport. Thousands are without power in Central Florida. As of Friday morning, Marion County had about 44,000 customers out, according to poweroutage.us. Lake County had more than 7,000 without power. Orange, almost 9,000, and Volusia, more than 11,000 without electricity. Statewide, 1.2 million customers are without power. The Orange County Board of Commissioners approved a plan this week to sell land once intended as a museum to honor the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting. Central Florida Public Media's Luis Alfredo Garcia has more.
The now-defunct One Pulse Foundation acquired nearly 2 acres of land on West Cayley Street in 2019. The organization bought the land for about $3.5 million using tourist development tax funds. It was returned to Orange County last year after no progress had been made on the museum. Now appraised at about $4 million, the county's real estate management division will attempt to sell the land as surplus through a closed bid process. All proceeds from the sale will be put back into the county's tourist development tax account for other qualifying projects. Luis Alfredo Garcia, Central Florida Public Media.
SpaceX is planning to launch a crew of 2 from Cape Canaveral Saturday to the International Space Station. Central Florida Public Media's Marion Summerall explains why the crew is launching with 2 empty seats in the capsule.
Once at the station, the crew will spend 5 months in space conducting research and performing over 200 science experiments and technology demonstrations. This will be the 9th crewed rotation with SpaceX under NASA's Commercial Crew program. But when the crew returns to Earth in February next year, there will be 2 more astronauts on board. NASA's Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams were scheduled for an 8-day mission in June, but technical issues with their Boeing Starliner spacecraft prompted NASA to return the vehicle without a crew, and SpaceX to give Wilmore and Williams a ride back home. In a phone call home after Starliner landed back on Earth without them, Williams said she is excited to catch a ride home on a new spacecraft. Marion Summerall, Central Florida Public Media.
More local news stories on our website. Visit cfpublic.org. What happens when 2 Central Florida strangers with differing political views sit down for a conversation? Not to debate, but to find common ground. Central Florida Public Media is partnering with StoryCorps' One Small Step program to find out. Listen back to those conversations or sign up for your own on our website. Visit cfpublic.org/one small step. Fall semester is underway, and teachers and college students alike are settling in. A growing number of those students are facing additional barriers: food and housing insecurity. A U.S. Department of Education survey found that at least 8% of college students experience homelessness at one point or another, resulting in lower GPAs and higher dropout rates for some. Central Florida Public Media's Lillian Hernandez-Carballo reports.
Those who've been there know it. College is hard. It's meant to be. But for students couch surfing, sleeping in their cars, or trying to find a place to lay their heads at night, it can be unmanageable. Peyton Baksh is one of these students. We met at a drop-in center for youth experiencing homelessness in downtown Orlando.
My name is Peyton. I am 22 and I am currently in college and homeless.
One of the things hard to miss about Baksh is his laugh. Baksh spent nearly a decade in the foster care system before opting out at the age of 19. Since then, the 23-year-old has been mostly transient and unsheltered. But earlier this year, Baksh decided to enroll in college full-time for computer science. The Valencia College freshman took his first courses online over the summer while still living out of a tent in the woods in Kissimmee. He says the academic challenges were eclipsed by his struggle to just meet basic needs.
Where am I going to get my food? Where am I going to go to the bathroom? Where am I going to shower next? I was very stressed. I only had so much time to do my schoolwork, which started to make my grades suffer.
Baksh says rain and heat were big issues. One day it rained so hard that his laptop got
waterlogged beyond repair. And I'm like, everything I had on that laptop is now gone.
Baksh's experiences are in line with other unhoused college students, according to Kate Santich with the Homeless Services Network of Central Florida.
There are a fair number of college students who are living in their cars. Their home is a parking lot somewhere, and maybe they're showering in the gym on campus.
Santich says Central Florida has the highest increase in homeless youth and young adults in the state. Her nonprofit was awarded an $8 million federal grant last year to serve this vulnerable group. And Baksh is taking full advantage of state and local funding to get on his feet. It took hours of bus rides just to get an ID and sign up for social services. But most importantly, Baksh was able to get into transitional housing. Now, he's still technically considered homeless because transitional housing isn't permanent. But Baksh says a roof over his head has made all the difference.
I don't have to worry about food. I can use my EBT. Got food. I can cook. I got a stove. I have AC. Don't need to worry about the heat. I can go get water from the kitchen. So it's like I don't have to worry about that stuff. I can sit in my room, on my bed, on my computer, charge, do my schoolwork.
Here in Florida, homeless youth can qualify for tuition waivers and fee exemptions until the age of 21. For people in the foster care system like Baksh, they get until age 28. But tuition alone doesn't guarantee success. Rashni Shankar Brown is a professor at Stetson University in DeLand and president of the National Coalition for the Homeless Board.
Students struggling with fundamental basic human rights and needs often experience intersectional traumas. And we see there are also many academic challenges due to stress, lack of focus, fatigue.
Shankar Brown says a lack of public awareness leads to ignoring the systemic barriers at play and stigmatizing the students. Back with Baksh, he says he's felt stereotyped before, but also he's received a lot of support.
When stuff happens, whether it's good or bad, it's a lesson. So in a way, it's a work in progress. Sometimes you just got to take it one step at a time, one day at a time.
Baksh's goal is to eventually get into his own apartment. And when he finishes his associates, he says he might shoot for a 4-year degree. Lilian Hernandez Caraballo, Central Florida Public Media.
Lilian Hernandez Caraballo is a Report for America core member. That's it for the wrap this week. Next week, Florida Republicans and Democrats work to court the youth vote, which showed up at lower than usual numbers in the August primary. We take a look at those efforts, how parties and election supervisors are encouraging young voters to show up and vote. This podcast is produced by Central Florida Public Media with assistance from News Director LaToya Dennis and Digital Director Ryan Ellison. I'm Brendan Byrne. This is The Wrap.